instructional video is on a slope-intercept form, focusing on tables. Equation in slope-intercept form, we first need to identify the slope, or the rate of change, with the y-intercept, or initial value. So looking at our first table, we're going to find our pattern. 0, 1, 2, 3 is a pattern of +1. On the other side, 12, 15, 18, 21 is a pattern of +3. We set up our fraction as y over x, 3 over 1, and 3 divided by 1 is 3. So our slope is 3. In addition to our slope, we also need to identify our y-intercept. The y-intercept is always paired at the number 0. And so our x value is 0, our y value is 12, so our y-intercept is 12. We put them all into the equation y equals mx plus b. M is just a replacement for our letter K for our proportional relationships. It's the same position. It's a new letter for a new type of equation, y equals mx plus b. So we have our y equals our 3x for our slope, and then plus 12 for positive 12, the y-intercept. Our second table, we're going to again find our pattern. 0, 1, 2, 3 is a pattern of 1. 8, 7, 6, 5 is a pattern of -1. We're going down. Our pattern is written as a fraction, y over x, -1 divided by 1, which is -1. Our slope, the constant of proportionality, is -1. Our y-intercept is our number that's paired with 0. And in this table, the number 8 is paired with 0. And so 8 is our y-intercept. We fill in the values for the equation. Y equals mx plus b. Our slope, -1, makes our y equals -1x. And then positive 8 for our y-intercept. 3, again, we're finding our pattern in our table. 0, 1, 2, 3 is a pattern of +1. -20, -15, -10, -5 is a pattern of +5. Our numbers are going up. We set them as a fraction, y over x. 5 divided by 1 is 5. 5 is our slope, or our unit rate. Our y-intercept is always paired with 0. 0 is paired with -20. So -20 is our y-intercept. We put our values together in the equation. Y equals mx plus b. And so y equals 5x for our slope, and then -20 for our y-intercept. 4, we're again going to find our pattern in our table. 2, 3, 4, 5 is a pattern of +1. 10, 14, 18, and 22 is a pattern of +4. And we have the equation y over x. 4 divided by 1 is a value of 4. So our slope, or our rate of change, is going to be 4. Now, what we can do is we are going to plug in our value and solve our equation to find our y-intercept. We're taking our pattern and we are working backwards to get to 0. So in our table, we can take our table, 5, which was paired up with 22, 4, which was paired up with 18, 3 went with 14, 2 went with 10, and then we can work it backwards to get to 0, because again, our y-intercept is always going to be paired up with 0. So we have to extend our table to get to that 0 value. So we're following our pattern of going backwards 1. On our other side, our pattern was 4. And so if we went backwards 4, our value would be 6. And if we went backwards 4 again, our value would be 2. 2 is the number paired with 0. So our equation In slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b is a y equals 4x for the slope and a positive 2 for our y-intercept. For our next problem, we're still finding our pattern in our table. To find our slope, 4, 6, 8, 10 is a pattern of 2. 9, 10, 11, and 12 is a pattern of 1. We set up our fraction as y over x, 1 divided by 2, and 1 divided by 2 is 0.5, or it would be called 1/2. Either of those answers is correct, and we can use those values to set up our y-intercept. Now, I'm going to show you another method to finding our y-intercept value if extending the table is not an option or too difficult. So we know our equation is y equals mx plus b. And so we can use the x and y values given in order to find our initial value. So my y value is 9. We solved the slope, which is a value of 1/2, and the x value is 4. And then we can solve our equation. 1/2 times 4 is 2, and we know that our equation would be 2 plus 7 to give us 9. 2 plus 7 is 9, so that means that our y-intercept is 9. B is equal to 7. So our general equation is y equals mx plus b. Y equals 1/2 x plus 7. So if extending the table is either too difficult or not an option, you can use the values given and plug them into the equation and solve for b. For our next problem, we are counting our pattern. 7, 10, 13, and 16 is a +3 pattern. On our y-axis, -11, -5, 1, and 7 is a pattern of +6. We set up the fraction y over x, 6 divided by 3, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So our slope is going to be 2, which is the first part of our equation, y equals 2x. Now, there is no zero value, so we need to solve the equation to find the y-intercept. Our equation is y equals mx plus b. I am going to use my first set of numbers. My y value is -11. My slope value that we solved was 2, and my x value was 7. The plus b value is the value that is unknown. So I multiply my parentheses. 2 times 7 is 14. And then we solve our equations as we used to do. We would do the opposite of 14. We would do a -14. -11 and -14 would make a -25. So our b value, the y-intercept, is -25, which is the back part of our equation. Our next problem, we have a pattern of 5, 10, 15, and 20, which is a +5. On the other side of the table, there is a typo. This 12 down at the bottom here should be 10. And so when we find our pattern, 4, 6, 8, and 10 is a pattern of +2. We set up our fraction y over x, 2 divided by 5, which would give you a decimal of 0.4, or the fraction 2/5. Either answer is correct, though the fractional answer 2/5 is more common. Y equals 2/5 x. Because we don't have a zero value in our table, we need to set up our equation y equals mx plus b. And we are using our x and y values to solve. So our y value was 4. Our slope value was the 2/5 fraction that we made. And then our x value was 5. The plus b value is the unknown that we are solving for. When you use your calculator and solve 2/5 times 5, you end up with an answer of 2. And when you solve your equation, we would do the opposite of 2. We would do a -2. And 4 and -2 is 2. So our b value, our y-intercept, is a +2 for our equation. Last problem, we have the pattern 6, 9, 12, and 15, which is a pattern of +3. -13, -17, -21, and -25 is a pattern of -4. We set up our fraction as y over x, -4 divided by 3. If you type that in on a calculator, you would get a repeating decimal, which is -4/3 written as a fraction. Now we want to set up our problem as an equation, y equals mx plus b. So our slope is the first part of our equation, y equals -4/3 x. Because we don't have a y-intercept 0 to plug in, we can use our values in the table. Our y value was a -13. Our slope was the -4/3. Our x value is 6. And then the plus b value is missing. So we would use our calculator to help us with our fractions. -4/3 times the 6 gives us a value of -8. We would solve our equation by doing the opposite. -8 changes to +8. And we would end up with -5 as our answer. So -5 is our y-intercept, which goes into the back of the equation.